Good day. So today what we will be talking about is more on how to make our rubrics. So this is the tool that I've been using and this is totally free. But before I go there, I would like to give you guys an idea of how to create authentic assessment. I know that there are a lot of tutorials for making authentic assessments, but with my 4 years of teaching computer science, one thing that I've learned is that it's really hard to let the students understand what you want for them to submit without detailed teacher's instruction. So while my document is still opening properly, I'll be signing in with my account. You are free to join anytime. This is totally free and I'll be logging in. So in this guide, I will be okay, guidelines on how to make authentic assessment. So first and foremost, what is an authentic assessment? Authentic assessment is a kind of assessment that deals with students' own ideas, originality, creativity, and there are a lot of ways on how to test authentic assessment. So right now, what we will be tackling is more on project-based. So for those who don't know what's a project-based assessment, it's more like you're giving a specific timeline for your students to create their own projects with the different instructions that you will be giving or that you will be giving them. So right now, things you need or what are the things that you should prepare before you give the actual assessment to your students. The first is a detailed teacher's instruction. Now, in your instruction, please don't forget to mention lessons that your assessment will cover. Next, after that, don't forget to give step by step procedure. And next is the checklist. So basically, I'll be explaining more on the checklist and the rubrics right now because I know different subject teachers have their own ways of giving step-by-step procedures and introducing their lessons. So basically, for the checklist, as I've mentioned, since I've been teaching computer science, most of my checklists are more on technical or performance-based. So after after I'm done with the teacher's instruction, next I have to make sure that my students are able to understand the instruction. So what should I give next? The students checklist. Now I know that there are a lot of teachers who will say that okay, they don't need a checklist. The entire teacher's instruction is fine. And it's very detailed, so it's okay. What I've noticed from my students over the course of 4 years is that even if you give them the step-by-step procedure of how you want them to submit their projects, you will notice that they still won't be able to get or to understand what you are trying to say. So because of that, I added here the students checklist and the last will be the grading rubrics. Now, these teacher's instruction including all of those things inside the teacher's instruction can be found in your lesson plan. The problem is the students the student's checklist and the grading rubrics. Now this is where Rubric Maker helped me, and this is what I want to impart to everyone. So as you've noticed, I'm using the free version, and even if it's the free version, it's really helpful already. So right now, I will be creating a rubrics for um, a project, and most of the projects for computer science are either infographic or let's say one pager, one pager infograph, one pager activity, or the actual website or the actual coded programs that the students will be making. So let's say, for example, I'll be giving you guys an idea of how to start a project that is common for all of the subjects. So let's check infograph rubrics. So there are four, basically there are four levels that you will have to check when you are creating the rubrics. This is just an example. Others prefer three, but I do prefer four. It's easier for me to grade because the rubrics itself is counted by four. So if it doesn't fall to exceeds expectation, then it will fall on the meets expectation, and so on. So how do we use the rubric maker? Topic. The first thing that we have to check for infographics are the content. Now, the subtopic under content that we have to check is that does it answer the essential question that we gave them for our assessment? Now, you will notice here that it actually created an entire rubrics for me. Okay, so there might be certain parts that you want to change, but technically you are already guided on how your students will be able to understand where and what you want them to make. So next, I'll be adding here another part of the rubric, and aside from the essential question, I would also like to check the quality of information since this is an infographic. Next, last, for the content, because I don't want them to mainly focus on the content, I would like them to, okay, add creativity because this is an infograph and a lot of infographics are already available on the internet. I want them to demonstrate their own interpretation and expression of the research they conducted before they are able to create the infograph. Next. So I have here, you will notice here, I have already one, two, three parts of my rubrics. And all of them has a maximum of 4. So by now I have 12 points. Next, I would like to check is the design. Okay. So since infographics are, um, it tackles about graphic design, there are fonts that you have to check, there are colors that you have to check. So normally, I just add the font because I need to be very strict when it comes to infograph. I need to be able to read each detail of the infograph. And of course, the layout and organization. So for me, because I won't be adding the color, I can add here the color, the subtopic. Fonts and, let's say, and color. And then I will add here color keyword. Let's say follow the suggested color wheel. So something like that. But it depends on how you want to grade your infograph or your project-based assessment. Now, I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have a total of 20 points already. And each part, they can have a maximum of 4 points and a minimum of 1 point as long as they submit. Now, the total, let's say for example, the total maximum number of points that you can give will depend on what kind of assessment will you be making or will you be giving. Sometimes it's just for formative assessment, sometimes it's for summative assessment. Now, for summative assessment, I do suggest that you make it up to 40, but if it's for formative assessment, maximum number of 20 is enough. So if you are already good with the 20 points, it already covered what you want them to do. Let's say, for example, because the project-based assessment that you are creating is good for a week's worth of work only. So you can see here a button that shows you the rubric and the checklist. I will be showing first the checklist. And while it's still generating, I will go back to the guidelines that I gave earlier. Remember that I mentioned earlier that the students need to have their own checklist. Why? It helps them self-reflect on the parts that they have already finished or accomplished, and it it guides them on the step-by-step procedure with um, or sorry, rather using their own self as an example or as the actual target or the actual, okay, the actual person who needs to do the checklist. In here, remember that these are only for the technical or the performance checklist that you will be checking. So I'll be giving the difference of the student's checklist and the teacher's checklist coming from the lesson plan. This may be the first, let's say, since I'm doing, or since I've been teaching computer science, the first topic will always be about data. So, first of the checklist, data structure or understanding how data structure works, understanding how code sequencing works. So, if we give this kinds of technical checklist to our students, they won't be able to understand this. Yes, that's the truth. Sometimes it's not because they're lazy, but because the terminologies that they keep on learning in a week is too much for them to memorize all at once. So definitely these technical assessments or these technical parts is your guide as a teacher in order to assess whether they are really able to understand the lessons and they were able to show it in a project-based assessment, which is the infograph. Okay, so well, for me, this is the common okay, how we using code. This is the common technical checklist that I kept on checking every assessment. So this is, or these are the technical skills that I typed here, but it depends on the subject that you're checking now or that you are teaching. So right now you can see here guides. For the students' checklist, it actually guides them on a step-by-step procedure using your own self as an example. Why? Because the checklist given by your rubrics talks about them. So my project provides a clear answer to the essential question and includes supporting details and examples. With this checklist, they are able to ask themselves, does my project provide clear answer to the essential question? They will be having this self-reflection even before they are able to finish everything for the infograph. Next, my project relates to the topic and includes accurate facts. So by the checklist alone, they will be able to identify are my words or the terminologies I stated in my infograph accurate? Okay. My project delivers information in creative, interesting ways. So, what, how, or up to what, up to what extent is the creativity? So, there are parts for originality, original assets, original artworks. As you've noticed, a lot of photo editing tools right now are coming and being showcased in the market, and a lot of our students can really use them to its or to their full potential. So please don't um, hesitate to include the creativity in all of your project based because they can really do it. I have students who have created their own characters for the game they're doing, and it's really amazing. My projects uses fonts that are appropriate for the content and projects has information that's organized and easy to read. So I'll copy this, and as I mentioned here, it will be given to my students. So basically, since these are for teacher instruction or preparation, these are the things that the students should see. Student's guide. Okay. So you can choose this one or you can choose to have, I think they have here a checklist. Okay. So, but since that's not my topic right now, I won't be looking at that. But basically this is, um, okay. So these are the different uh, things that they will need in order to be guided for the actual project. Now, I'll close this part and go to the rubrics. So as I've mentioned earlier, we have here checklist and we also have the rubrics. Our students should see the rubrics as well. So it's not just our checklist for them that they should see. They actually have to see the rubrics in order to understand how they will be graded. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so right now, in the given rubrics, okay, I'll move this first because I'm not sure what happened here. Okay, I'll close this one first. Okay, this should be exceeds, okay, exceeds. I'm not sure what happened, but maybe I had done something earlier. Meets expectation. What are the, wait, I'll go back first. I'm sorry for this one. I have to make sure that, well, if you have your own ideas or your own points, exceeds, meets expectation, needs improvement, and below expectation. So I'll be just copying this because this is the file that I will be sharing to everyone. Okay, and the last is below expectations. Okay, so here, I'm sorry, this one. Okay, so right now you have your document that you can share with your students, but this document should not include this part. So basically, okay, I will be copying this part or I will be moving na lang student's guide at the bottom part. And of course, don't forget to give the detailed guide of your instruction. So basically what I just taught is that how to use the rubric maker in order to maximize and give you an idea of how to start your rubrics. And please also don't forget to explain to them that each has a maximum points. So you will notice some parts that needs to be enhanced. There are grammar tools for Google Docs that can help you with this. And once you are done adjusting or editing some of the stuff that you need, you can now share this with them together with your instructions. So, outline for the instructions. Basically, what I gave earlier is just the preparatory stage. Okay, instructions should be numerical unless you would like to um, give emphasis for the essential questions that you would like to, okay, to, or that you would like your students to answer. So, first, guideline, numerical. So, your students know what to start first. Actually, this is something that I've learned over the past 4 years. The students really need to know whether the instruction is step by step through numbers, or are they supposed to be bulleted like this that they can jump up and down or any part of the guide. So first, it should be numerical. Next, it should be concise. And the last part would be uh, max of 5. Now, the reason why I suggested maximum of 5 instructions is because you don't have to explain to them what should be the content. The content can already be read using the student's guide. So I hope this helped everyone, and I'm sorry for this one. This should be authentic. Thank you.